And now we move on to the next story. What's going on with Phiona?
Ooh, Phiona. You all know this girl. She is slaying. I don't think she has ever had a bad outfit day or a bad makeup day. She is just perfection. And she's so tiny. She's so cute. It is very hard to hate Phiona. Anyway, she was talking with this powerhouse that is Lynn Ngugi, and she had been hosted on her show. And she was just talking about her journey. Because a lot of us are curious, especially after the rumors that Jaguar allegedly funds her business. A lot of people are very curious about, what's the story behind Phiona? Because we see the social media, social media, we see the glam, but we don't see the backstory. She decided to, get candid with her and tell her the journey. She, goes on to tell us how she started off as makeup. She quit her job, had her first studio in Harlingen. It was just, the progress of it all. You can tell she started from somewhere and she tried out nails, and then she said sometimes clients would come back in the next day, the nail has broken. So it was just a whole thing. And finally, as she is right now, you can see she's a powerhouse. She has her own nail thing, hair, her own cloth line. It's just perfection. Anyway, however, this success does not come with some setbacks. And now she's talking about her employees and how her employees turned back on her. And they had formed a cartel whereby when a client makes a payment, it would instead go to the employee instead of going to like the till or something. And one of the clients calls Phiona and says, I think your money is being diverted somewhere else, because when I paid for my services today, I didn't pay it to, the till number or something. I paid it to a personal phone number. So when this question was raised, she tried to figure out what's going on and told the manager, you just keep quiet about it. We are going to investigate. Turns out her employees had formed a 15-people cartel to just drain her business. And it is very heartbreaking, especially after you've invested in people a lot. And these people, you're empowering them. You've given them employment. So for them to turn around and steal from you. And then they kind of figured out one of the cleaners would, rat them out to Phiona. And they pinned her down and they threatened her. So this employee would just be very quiet. Phiona would ask, why is she always so quiet? And they'd say nothing. Turns out they had a whole cartel draining her business. So when she finally fired them, hired a new team, these people went with all her clients, because you've already formed a personal relationship with someone. So it's very draining for her business. And she talks about how she almost shut down her business. But things worked out. And just as things are picking up, COVID hit us. So it's just been building and rebuilding. The journey of entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Sometimes you see it's glamorous and you're thinking, it's easy. I'll just ship in things and sell to people. But it's not as easy. You get a lot of challenges. Sometimes people are not interested in what you're selling. Sometimes things don't go as planned. Sometimes you had this whole plan laid out and then it doesn't happen. So she's just, highlighting how it's not always a rosy road. Sometimes it's high, you're making millions. Sometimes it's the lows of lows and you're thinking about shutting down this business and going back to Shago. And I think, I love to see it. It was a very nice journey highlighted.
I feel like anyone who's tried their hand in business knows that the people who can bring you up are the same people who can take you absolutely to the ground.
True.
Like people are very quick to take advantage of you, especially in situations where they feel a little taken advantage of in one way or another. For example, when you start to look at a business, you work in a business, and then your boss comes and tells you, by the way, you guys have done such an amazing job, we've made $1 million this month, and I can't wait to see what more you guys can offer. And then you look back and you're like, wait, we made $1 million as a business, and yet me as an individual, I get paid 20,000 shillings. It starts to bug you as an employee, because you're like, but I am the one who's making these numbers. I'm the one who's working hard to make sure that these numbers are actually met. And yet I'm getting the shortest end of the stick.
Yeah.
That is what you look at as an employee. On the other hand, as an employer, you're thinking you've created an amazing establishment. You've given people the opportunities to learn. You've given people the opportunities to to go ahead and do better in the future. Like, I've given you an opportunity, take charge and do something with it. And at the end of the day, profit has to come back to the business, because that's, as every business, you're supposed to make profits. So that imbalance of communication, in that the employer will never understand what the problems of the employees are, or will never understand the issues coming from the employees, and the employees will always feel like the boss is taking advantage of them. That power dynamic never works out in the end.
True.
And that's why with every business, it's the people who will put you down are the same people who can put you up. We've heard stories about bus drivers or lorry drivers or people who own trucks. I had a personal story from a friend who would give these truckers the cars to go and distribute products from Nairobi to Mombasa and back and forth. And then the problem is, every time they'd come back, they'd ask for new tires for the trucks. And one truck tire for those big truckers is like
Expensive.
100,000 Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
And every week he's buying new tires. So he started wondering what the hell is going on. He himself has driven those trucks. He knows the experience. He knows how long a truck's wheels are supposed to stay on, or the tires are supposed to stay on, in order for him to be able to replace them and all of that. Like, the business because you've been in the business for a long time. So what he ended up discovering was, apparently, the truckers would end up going and stopping at like Mlolongo, taking the inner tires. They were very new, taking those inner tires and selling them off for really cheap. So they had money to pata the sherehe with the chicks uko.
Yo.
And then replace them with really old truck tires. So every time they'd come in, yes, you can see, by this tire is kulwad,
new.
it's ishad, and it's gonna cause problems. So you have to keep replacing them.
Yeah.
And now the question is, I don't understand. I give you guys extra money, I give you allowances, I
It's
give you all of
greed.
these things, and yet you're still trying to steal from my business. So that dynamic with employers and employees, if you've done any business, these people who build you up can also take you down. So what do? You need to start creating measures and start placing in, skeletons or blueprints that ensure that no one feels taken advantage of and all of that. Is it difficult? Absolutely, because we're all trying to make money. But is it possible? Yes, it is. Have you been in a situation where your employees did something shady and you were just like, are you serious? I gave you food. You came here telling me your children are dying of hunger. Tell us what your thoughts are. 0777293666.